Ladies and gentlemen, we are immensely glad to have with us today online Mr. Hemang Agrawal, a new age textile designer and creative managing director of Surekha Group and advisory board member of Green Fashion India. Sir is a co-founder of Hemang Agrawal and Holy Weaves label that deals into traditional Banaras brocade textile by uplifting and empowering the artisans. The label Hemang Agrawal was even nominated for the prestigious Woolmark Prize 2017-18. With Sir's magnanimity towards traditional craft, his work has been featured on the Netflix series The Creative Indians in 2020. I would like to request Mr. Hemang Agrawal to kindly start with the keynote. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Malika ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. So this time, firstly, welcome to all the students, all the delegates. This time, me and Dr. Pundekar decided that since I've already been presenting keynotes, this time we have it as a question-answer session. So, Ma'am Pundekar, is she around?
Yes, sir, she is right here.
Hi. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Hema, and I'm very much here. Thank you so much for making it. You can please start.
Okay. We have been through many presentations today, and obviously all of us have seen the different facets of what green fashion means to everyone. Obviously, in the Western context, it has always been more about how to keep the environment green and how to, sustainability of lives is basically what the Western inference of green fashion has been. Whereas for a country like India, a country which is so rich in crafts, which is so rich every 100 kilometers, where not just the language changes, but even the craft traditions change. For us, sustainability of livelihoods is also very important. And the same point was actually even raised by Honorable Vice Chancellor during her initial address. So with that, it's Green Fashion Conference is always, I always call it as a melting pot of different opinions, and it is a movement. Obviously, when this movement was started by NKSSL and SOF, initially it was people were not aware, but over the years we have seen that everybody has come together. This is one thing which all of us think very very sincerely about, which all the people whom we have been able to associate with this moment think very seriously about. And again, the concept of taking Indian crafts forward and making Indian garment industry, adapt sustainable processes is what this movement basically entails. As about me, as Malika ma'am has already informed, that I have been working in the field of handlooms and handmade textiles. I work out of Banaras. Banaras, as all of you might be aware, that it's one of I call Banaras the last remaining bastion of handlooms at an industrial scale. Handlooms across the world, if you go, they are now limited to studios. You go to Japan, you go to some parts in Mexico, you go to Europe. It's only a few exponents who are practicing handloom. But as we saw, this is Nachihar's presentation today as well, you could see that handloom in India is not limited to studios. Handloom in India is also something which is deeply pervasive into our lives on a daily basis. So we have to also think of the sustainability of the livelihoods of these artisans. That we are able to create products using handloom, using handcrafts, and even involving some bit of mechanization into these processes. And we can make products which are for today, which the customers don't really, buy or adapt just because they are made on a handloom, but the customers need to adapt it because they are fantastic products. They are products which you would anyways buy, even if you did not know whether it comes from out of a handloom or some sort of a mill. So that is where we need to take this moment that it cannot be green fashion or sustainable fashion, cannot just be for a charitable cause. It is a noble cause, but it is not a charitable cause, the way I see it. We cannot tell any consumer, and especially when I'm addressing most of you are students today, so you will learn that many of you are, whom I have met over the years, I can see how sincerely you feel about the sustainability, how sincerely you feel about green fashion. But I always tell each one of them that sustainability is not about the final product, it's about the processes. Your product ultimately has to be something which is excellent, your product has to be something which needs to be very well designed, and customer needs to adapt it because of the product which it is, and you have to ensure that your processes are sustainable. And essentially, that's what Indian crafts are also about. Indian crafts, the craft is not in a product, craft is in a process. A same sari woven on a Banarsi handloom can, a very similar sari, something which looks visually very similar, can be woven on a power loom. The fabulous saris which, for example, which Mrs. Nachiar showed in her presentation, the fabulous products which Adrian and Catherine showed in their presentations, many of them are handmade. And trust me, we cannot, it's handmade versus machine made is no longer a zero-sum game. Obviously, machines also make some fantastic products, and you cannot be fighting for the same share of pie. I always say that handloom and handmade have a different pie altogether. So we have to ensure that we are creating products which are acceptable to everybody. Whenever you girls, you boys design, you have to think of the consumer. And sustainability is for yourself. Sustainability is not for the consumer. It is that you adapt these processes while you design, while you manufacture. That's my take on sustainability. And obviously now I would ask Dr. Mundikar to stream this conversation in the direction she wants.
Surely, Hemang. I think what we have observed you for past many years, you have got very strong connect with the roots, that is the weavers of especially Banarasi craft, and at the same time you have got a very strong connect with the commercial world also. Like we've been working with a lot of designers, eminent designers, who are actually like from India as well as abroad. To name few, Ritu Kumar, Rajesh Pratap Singh, and maybe I do remember that you have even done or created the fabrics for Yohiji Yamamoto, the costliest designers, in 2005, in between 2005 and 10. So, what is your maybe take when it comes to roots? How much it is possible for a person to be there with crafts and art, and to take it really commercially. Is it really difficult, or what was it during your journey? What is it that you have experienced while doing so?
Ma'am, I always say that I was lucky probably to be actually born in Varanasi and working here. So I have been able to see from close quarters that craft does not exist in isolation. As that I have been also been working with. I have been lucky to work with some of the great masters of fashion across the world, including Europe, including Japan, and in India. And for many of them, I see that they have a very different take on crafts and textiles than how we presume it to be. They always think about who their consumer is and what do they want to present, and then what is the best way of making it. And that's where crafts come into picture. That all the luxury brands, they obviously care a lot about the processes, about the great techniques which are there, not just in India, but different parts of the world. So I have seen that craft cannot work in isolation. Okay, that this is the only thing which I want to make, and I'll wait for somebody to like it. It doesn't work like that, because the very important dimension in a craft is the time period in which they are being made. What was craft, let's say 100 years back, is very different from what we call artisanal today, and it is very different from what would be artisanal maybe 30 or 40, 50 years from now. So it's not that technology is not a part of craft. See, for example, whenever we talk about let's say if you talk about weaving, we talk about the great, amazing jacquard techniques which are being adopted in Varanasi, in parts of Madhya Pradesh, in deep south. So this also was a space-age technology about 100 or 150 years back. When jacquard attachments were invented, they were as advanced a technology as they can be. In fact, many of you might be aware that Alan Turing, whom we call the founder of computer, actually designed the first computer with the inspiration of a jacquard loom, the binary system. So that's what I have seen, that you have to always think about the times you are living in, the technologies which exist, and then to marry it with the craft. I've been lucky to be working with some of the greatest exponents of this craft, master weavers in Varanasi, who have been very open to new suggestions, new ideas. So when I had launched my eponymous label, my own label, the idea was that we present craft in a way which is, in an avatar which is very contemporary. So whatever I do in my label, some of you might are aware of the kind of stuff which we do under the label Hemang Agarwal. The others can probably look up something on the internet or Instagram. You realize that in this label, we are not doing anything which has already been done. We try to create new kind of textiles which speak about today. We try to marry it with silhouettes which all of you want to wear in today's day and age. So that's the way I see that probably the ideal marriage would be, when we like a song, it's always that when the music and the lyrics both come together and you enjoy it. The same way, in today's day and age, your idea, your textiles, and your final garment, all of them have to come together to make it like a beautiful song.